Check 1 2, check 1 2. Miami on the Rocks, Casey Chopz. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at MIA on the Rocks. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Today's guest, she's in the industry. She's moving and shaking. Andrea de Castro, de Castro Media. How are you?
Hi, great.
How's everything? Ange Mel linked me up with you. I told Mel, I was like, yo, I need to find some women that have careers. And she's like, yo, my homegirl Andrea, she's serious in the industry. So explain a little bit about you and what your company does.
So thank you, Mel. Thank you for that. Well, I work in the Latin market. I do publicity for artists. I have a digital marketing agency where we do from traditional press in US, in Puerto Rico, in Dominican Republic, in Latin America, and we promote artists all over the world. We do all of their strategies from the way that we're going to build a campaign towards people consuming the songs on the artist, so we do everything that has to do with making them viral. We deal with influencer campaign, TikTok campaigns, and, we are involved in every single thing that the artist needs to just be consumed. Not only have a fan base, but for people to buy them and be like, okay, like, I'm a fan. I'm going to consume that. I want to buy the hoodie that they're wearing. I want to, just like be involved
sell themselves as a product.
Exactly. So we brand them out. And not only doing that, we coordinate all of their interviews, all of the strategies and media plans, press kits. We do everything that has to do with the
so it sounds kind of like management as well.
It's a little bit of everything. I've done management before, but with what I'm doing now, I'm super involved in digital marketing. I think that's my strongest point inside my business. And we have different, I don't know how to say this word in English though.
Dime.
Ramas. Like diferentes ramas dentro de mi negocio.
Oh, different like assets, different facets, different branches.
Yeah, we have different branches.
Right.
Like one of the things that we do is that we even deal with their styling, the way that they're gonna be dressed for something, the way that we're gonna build a strategy for their pictures, for their content. We do everything that has to do with them.
Dope. So before we get into like the beginnings of your company, name some artists that you work with.
I have Rauw Alejandro. We do Braithiago. I have Farruko and his whole company. I work with Neon 16, people like Tainy, Amadorito Diaz, Chris Floyd, Dylan Fuentes. I've worked with Wisin. We work a lot with huge record labels, and we've worked with almost everybody that's on top right now in the Latin market. Because when I started, that was kind of like la nueva ola, and those are my clients now.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 4 years.
So how did it start for you? How did you get into, because a lot of women are, they're trying to figure it out. They want to get into business and how did it start for you?
It was complicated and a little controversial, though.
Controversial is good.
Yeah, controversial is good. You learn a lot from controversies inside this industry in particular. I started working media 15 years ago. My father was someone very known in Puerto Rico, so his controversy is just...
¿De dónde eres?
Puerto Rico.
100% Pu.
Yeah. Well, my mom, she's Costa Rican.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like,
Gotcha.
I'm mixed. But I'm from Puerto Rico.
You were born in Puerto Rico?
I was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And when I was 15 years old, my father went to jail for corruption. He was a politician. So growing up, that was kind of like my background. I was all, into politics, and I knew everybody. I would go to every media thing with my father, and I would know a lot about how to deal with media and how to create strategies.
So you kind of like grew up in it.
I grew up in this. When I was
dope.
born, my dad was preparing himself to become the mayor of the city.
San Juan.
Yeah. So I was born into this, and when I was 15, my dad goes to jail for this, and he did 9 years, and I become like a public target in all the media in Puerto Rico because he goes to jail, and his case was huge on the news. So it was so controversial that I started talking publicly about my father's situation, and I got really involved. So I got like, just put out there in a very negative way.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 15 years old.
Wow. So can you explain a little bit like how you dealt with that? Like what do you do at 15 years old and you have, you're in the spotlight and
I would describe a lot of it as lost. I was very lost. It consumed me a lot. It changed me.
Because it is trauma at the end of the day.
It is very traumatizing because you're like, you have a very powerful father and suddenly, it just all goes to shit. and he goes to jail and he was probably going to do more than 30 years. He ended up doing almost 8 or 9. And it was very hard on me. So all of the press was just like bashing me all the time because I was
and you had nothing to do with it. You're just 15-year-old girl.
But like Puerto Rico, the press, they just want ratings. So they found someone new that was fresh that
they could attack a 15-year-old girl.
They could attack and you could find so many flaws on a 15-year-old girl that's has money, goes out, So when I was like a couple of years later, I was already like a huge target in the press for every single thing that I do. They would put me in the radio. They would create comedy shows about me. They would do so many things to talk about.
Did you have to have like security and shit?
I had security. I've had security my whole life since I was growing up, since I was born. So yeah, I had security also at that point. But then when I was like, I think it was like 4 years after he was in jail, I was so pissed at the press. And at that moment, YouTube wasn't as big in Puerto Rico. But I had really good relationships with
What year is this?
This was like, I think like 2010 or something. And YouTube wasn't as big, but I had many friends in the industry. So I talked to one of my friends that was doing music videos. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm so pissed off at these people. I'm tired of them of talking shit about me and my family. Because they're saying that every single thing that I own in my house or my car or whatever is stolen. Because,
like
the term corrupt is like, people don't understand that there's so many different terms inside the word corruption.
Right.
And they don't understand the whole meaning of it. So I was pissed off and I did a video of my dad's condo. That's where I used to live because I stayed with his house and everything. And I posted it, and in 24 hours, it grabbed more than 200,000 views on YouTube, and it went viral. It was everywhere in the news, and I became like a huge target, and everybody is like, this little girl, she had the balls. And
like if you're bragging about like...
No, but I bragged. The video was me bragging. No. I was totally bragging. I was like, oh, you guys want to talk shit? Well, listen, you know what? My dad is in jail, and... this is my house. This is my marble floor, and this is my house. And I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So just keep talking. I'm tired of you guys talking and attacking me for something that I didn't do and my dad did. So it made me huge in a very controversial and hard way. It was very hard for me. But it made me a very strong woman. And I think that it's what built my character towards the woman that I am today and what I do today with artists. So I think it was... like
thick skin and you're always working around men and to be shrewd, you have to be that way in a woman in business.
You need to be very, very strong. People like Angelina are women like that. They have very strong character and they don't let anybody intimidate them. And I think that this is something that really helped me. It made me cry a lot. It frustrated me.
You had to heal through it at the end of the day.
It still frustrates you, sometimes. But I think it's what made me, and it's very important.
So after these years, when does the industry start? Like, who's like the first artist? Who's the first?
At that year, 2010, I started getting involved in certain things in the industry because my dad had great relationships with the biggest rappers in the industry. So they would become like my uncles.
Like at that time? Like the OGs? Like the Wisins and the...
Like Hector, El Father. Oh, okay. He was really good friends with my dad and stuff like that. And my dad was in jail and they would always be concerned like, Andrea, are you okay? Everything's fine. Because they are people that my father would... always be aware of how they're doing and would help them out. And they had good relationships. So at that time, I got a manager and my manager would manage Hector too. So I started getting involved and accidentally I would help different artists and I would be like, okay, I'll help you with press because they would call me and blow up my phone. They wanted to interview me every single day for content that I said, you know what, like, okay, I'm gonna help out my friends and I'm gonna just like schedule some interviews for them. And that was like 2010, 2012. I stopped. And then at 2015, 2016, one of my friends calls me and he's like, hey, I want to go to a concert. Are you going to be there? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Are you coming? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, who are you coming with? What's your protocol? Are you coming with your security? Like, what's your team? So I can put you on the list for backstage. And he was, this artist, he was popping very good at that moment.
You can't say his name?
Yeah, his name was Almighty.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was popping. And
I could tell why you were like, didn't kind of want to say his name, but
yeah, and he's like, Andrea, like, I want to come to this, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so you coming with people? And he's like, no, I'm just, just coming by myself. And I'm like, listen, like, you're important. Like, you're a celebrity. People know you. Like, you're supposed to come with, like, security or something. Like, you never know. And he was not on the list, so I figured everything out. I got him in, and everything went pretty smooth. And when he comes in, someone from the press comes to interview him, and they just, like, go attack him to interview him. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm his publicist. You can't interview my client without asking me or, like, letting me know what you want to talk to him about. So I need to brief him before. And I was not his publicist. I was not a publicist. Yeah. So we started just talking like that. And then like a day after he calls me, he's like, hey, can you be my publicist? And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll be your publicist. I think
so that was your first time ever like...
Yeah,
wow.
But this is something that I've dealt with my whole life. My mom, she is a publicist. She has.
So you were kind of like a publicist already, without even.
When I was growing up, and my dad was a politician. My mom owned one of the biggest agencies in Puerto Rico for publicity and everything. So she had very good contracts and contacts and everything. So I was brought up into this. I totally understood how everything would work, and I started getting involved with Almighty, like in his work and everything, and showing him like everything that he needs to do to put himself out there. We did great work, and he was even popping even more. And then just clients would come in, and they started coming in, and then I quit my job with him, like I would say like 3 months later, and I had like 14 to 16 clients at that point.
Wow.
And I became really good, and I started doing booking for them. I started doing styling for them. I just hustled my way up. I was like, I want that check. I don't care if it's $500.
Yeah.
I want that bag. So I started working with everybody, and I just started studying everything that every other publicist brought to the table. And I said, okay, so what do I have that they don't have? And I'm like, I'm a public figure, and I'm Andrea, and everybody knows me. And I am very well dealing with controversies. So I just started studying everything and just bringing in to the table when nobody dared to.
And I'm sure a lot of the other publicists were like, like viejos and shit. Like, so you're probably bringing like, you're like youth, like youth, and you're bringing your millennial.
Not only their age, but they're so traditional, and they were so scared to risk themselves. And, like, I think that one of the keys to my success is that, I'm just myself. When I start working with a client, they know my background. They know all the controversies that I've been through, but they know that I'm always going to tell them how important it is to connect with the public, being yourself. Because people want transparency. They want that. They want to feel like they're your friends. Like when you grab your phone and you talk and you're the artist and you're talking to the public, they don't want a filter. They want the real you. So I think that I'm a perfect example of just being yourself 100%. And I never stopped dressing the way that I dressed. Yeah. I never stopped expressing myself the way that I did. I modified certain things that I knew that would, level me up.
Right.
But I've always been like, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I'm a smart girl. I know how to talk. I'm very well educated. Right. So I used all of that in my advantage.
Yeah, and as far as like connecting with people, because I was in radio for 8 years, and a lot of people just want to show their highlight reel on Instagram, just all the good things.
Yeah.
But when you start to show like the bad shit that you're going through, and you're transparent with the people, your followers, that's how they connect to you. They're like, oh, this person is human. They're not like
and they feel like, oh shit, like she went through something that I went through, you know, and like I have a bunch of haters. That's something that's like it's always gonna happen, and they will attack you for anything. But there's a lot of people that have gone through things that I have gone through, like perhaps having a father in prison or having someone that you love inside. And I talk a lot about that because after my dad came out, I promised everybody that I was going to still work for their rights. So I would do that, and I connected with a lot of people that I never imagined that I would, and I would get involved in different things and just helping people, you know, rehabilitarse in English.
Rehabilitate yourself.
Rehabilitate yourself, yeah.
So, okay, so are you and your dad good now? Like you guys have a good relationship?
Oh yeah.
And then when do you move from Puerto Rico to Miami or to the United States in general?
I moved to Miami like a year and a half ago.
Oh.
Yeah, but I've always been coming here since I was growing up.
Got you.
And I ended up here a year and a half ago because I had some scandal going on in Puerto Rico, and I was
more scandals
that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I had a scandal going on, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be in Puerto Rico. My work is going amazing. So why do I want to stay there?
Right.
Why do I want to stay there when I know that I'm not going to feel comfortable until I heal from this that just happened?
Right.
So I moved and I went on tour with Rauw. We went to Europe. I went with another client of mine to Spain, and I just kept going, and I kept working and working and working, and I just moved here. And I moved here, and I love it. And I think it was the perfect moment because I needed to expand. At some point, Puerto Rico was too little for me.
Well, I tell people all the time that, you know, like in the American music industry, if you want to be in the industry, you got to be in LA. But I tell people all the time, Miami is the LA of the Latin world.
It is.
Everybody lives here.
Everybody's moving here right now.
Yeah. So this is the place to be.
And the studios and the connections and the relationships and everything. And, you know, like I already know almost everybody in the Latin market. So I wanted to move here and create new relationships with people from the American market because I want to start doing other things that
bridging the gap.
That would benefit me in that area. Like I would want to do things with American artists, with my Latin artists, because if not, you're just gonna go and you're gonna keep running in the same circle all over again, and I would be like, no.
Exactly. And
you're not gonna grow at all.
That's why I moved to Colombia. Like I saw in 2014 when
you moved to Colombia.
Yeah, and I took Spanish, and that's how I learned.
Great.
Like, yeah. So when in 2014, when I saw like J Balvin come out and like reggaeton like get popping again, and I quit radio, I was like, yo, I see like this is not gonna be like 07 with the Daddy Yankee era. This is gonna be like some different shit. So I moved to Colombia, and I was ahead of the game because now I do Spanish clubs now. I play 4 hours of only Spanish music, and
but that
I'm
is
like,
that's why it's so important to diversify,
culture yourself,
and culture yourself, and do a little bit more, like speaking more than one language, even if you don't speak Spanish completely, but you know that you have more knowledge than someone else, and it's very important, and especially here in Miami too. Like I think almost everybody speaks a little bit of Spanish.
It's like I think it's like 70% of the world is bilingual. It's just only us in the United States that is just in their own little world, you know. But yeah, so first of all, I was early on Rauw Alejandro. I think he's amazing. Like he could actually sing. Like
so that was my first huge client. I've been working with Rauw for 4 years, and his development has been great. Like his growth is just amazing. He's so disciplined,
but he's in his own lane because he can dance. He does like choreography, right? And he can actually sing. He doesn't need crazy auto tune. Yeah. So, you know,
and he has his own sauce. It's like, you know, it's different.
It's kind of like a Chris Brownish vibe. Like,
yeah. And dope. He's so fun, and the girls love him, but the boys love him too. So it's just he blew up last year, and it was sick. It was just like his momentum.
How do you see the future for him? Because I see him being a superstar, just the way his look is too. Like
Rauw is a superstar, and you know, I think that the key to Rauw is just, besides him, baby.
You're good. Sorry. I'll edit it.
Ven para que le conteste allá afuera si quieres, papá, que te está llamando. Sorry.
There you go.
I'm so sorry for that. Okay.
You're so media trained. You're good. No, go.
So sorry. So Rauw, I see Rauw being huge. To me, he's already a superstar. You know, he's amazing, and he's so disciplined. And besides being disciplined, it's that he's so humble. He's very humble. And when you don't believe it 1,000%, and you're like, oh my God, I'm still dreaming. Like, like I've done this. And every time that he does something different, he still gets excited. So I think that's the key. That's very important I think not only for artists, for everybody. You should always feel like, oh my God, like I did something else in my career. And Rauw has that. He's one of those boys.
That's dope. Well, what's another artist that excites you, maybe that you're working with or you see potential in?
I love working with Farruko. He's so versatile. He's into any type of music. I think that the word for Farruko would be that he's like un camaleón. You know, like this animal that changes colors.
Oh, chameleon.
Chameleon. Oh my God, I am sucking at these words.
No, I feel like I'm sucking.
So he's like, to me, he's that because él se puede, he could transform himself into any type of genre.
Trap.
Everything. And his voice is sick. And his discipline is sick. And the way that he connects with the public, I think it's special because he's himself.
Right.
He's got great success, a great position in the industry, but he never forgets where he came from.
That's dope.
And that's also very important.
He was one of the first ones out of that second wave that happened, like when 2014, like when reggaeton like came back. It was him, J Balvin. He was one of those
he blew up.
First ones. So I feel like, in my opinion, he's one of those artists that has to try to like reinvent himself and try to do new things to be fresh.
He's always doing that. Like, like one of my favorite teams that I work with, it's his, specifically because
shout out to Frank.
Frank. We love you, Frank. It's because they are always into knowledge. Frank is always looking for knowledge, like how to create more strategies, how to be seen here and there, but like diversify, how to not keep doing the same thing that everybody's doing. And we're never looking at what everybody else is doing. We're doing our own thing, and we have our own formula and everything. And it's very great. That's one of my favorite teams to work with, and I really love it. It's really cool. And I not only work for Farruko, I work with Carbon Fiber with Frank. So I work with all of the artists inside the company. Like Millie, he's blowing up right now. He's huge. He went viral. He went into the 50 best songs in Spotify global. He went viral on TikTok. We have so many artists in there, like Larry Over, Ghetto, Lil Tati, that's Frank's son, and he's coming inside the American market. So it's a total different project. It's a lot of things. And besides that, I also work with Neon 16, that I have Tainy there, and we have Jillian Fuentes, we have Alvarito Diaz, we have projects going on now with Jandel, we have Hodosky, that's a super cool and edgy rapper. It's a little bit of everything. There's so many different talents, but the way that we work each one of them, it's in such a different way, and it's so fun.
How is it working with Tainy, like on the producer end?
To me, Tainy is a genius.
Yeah.
He's number one, He's great, and I think that the way that he moves himself and he carries himself is very important for all the kids that are growing up and trying to get involved in the industry as producers. I think he's a great examples of perseverancia, of discipline, and he's been doing this for years, and he made it to the top, and he's there, and he's not only inside the Latin market, he's doing English movies, he's doing English movies, and he has a great team. He has people like Lex Borrero as his partners, and they're people that are brilliant, that bring so much to the table, and so much knowledge, that I think that is very important for producers also to do, because it's not only making hits, it's picking the correct people around you to help you elevate yourself inside the industry, or
to help you not fall.
Exactly.
To have the people that can check you when you're doing something crazy.
And that is very, very interesting, and to me it's an honor to work with him. I think that I was telling Lex the other day, I'm like, when I came into a meeting with Lex to work for Neon 16, I was just like shook, because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm being like, I know I'm good, I know I'm great, I know I'm amazing at my job, but moving to Miami and working with companies like Carbon Fiber and Neon 16 and Universal and things like that, I was like Lex, like you don't understand. He said some really good words to me about the way that I work, and I was just like, damn, I want to cry. Like, I think I made it.
Yeah.
Like, I made it. I feel really good about it. So they're great people, and it's really interesting.
What are some new things you're trying to get into in your company? Because you said you have like a 360 approach. Like, you kind of deal with a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we have a one-stop shop. We have different divisions inside De Castro Media, and I'm working on new things inside digital. We do a lot of things in digital marketing. The way that we promote our artists is very different. Everybody wants to know how we do it. And
have you heard of NFTs? Have you heard of that?
I have.
Okay. Of course you have. You're on your game.
I have. But the way that I work and move myself around digital marketing, everybody wants to know, and I don't even reveal it to my clients.
Oh.
I don't.
Can't tell them the sauce.
I mean, it's my biggest income. So, I'm very good at traditional press, but I'm amazing at digital marketing.
So that is your biggest strength, you would say, is like the social media type marketing and
Yes.
Got you.
And I started doing different things inside digital marketing. The way that I promoted it, I would include girls. I would include so many risky things that people would be like, oh my God, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get that girl to promote my song.
Yeah.
And then like a couple months later, like one of my friends is Veronica Rodriguez, and everybody's like,
I had her on here too.
And Vero is my friend, and they're like, oh, like Andrea is crazy because she's using Veronica for promotions for her artist. And I'm like, And then like 6 months later, they are all hiring my Veronica for their promotions.
Wow.
Because they would talk so much shit, and now they're doing it. So, like at the end of the day, you know how it is. And they copy you. So that's why there's a couple things that I do and I don't say, and I don't reveal how I do it.
I hate the art. I'm not into like the artists who like they make a song and then they try to force something like the challenge, like the dance or the challenge. Now they're trying to do
so
it.
So one of the things that we do is that we develop the strategy on the challenges. So one of the biggest ones that we did was for Perreito, for Mariah. This was like 2.5 years ago, and that got me one of my best contracts inside the industry because for word of mouth, everybody was talking about, okay, like Andrea did this, she did this strategy, and it went very well. So I think it's one of the best strategies that we've done, and we just incorporated products inside the way that we would market the song, and we get other girls involved. And not only that, I use a lot of my social media accounts, and I am Andrea, I am the publicist, I am the businesswoman, I am the public figure, but I am also an influencer. So I influence people to listen to my artists that I genuinely like, not only my clients. I could listen to someone that I think that I like, and I want people to absorb them. And it's very organic, and people, they consume it. And a lot of people don't know, a lot of people that I would start posting, and they would be like, okay, I have some interest in that. I want to see how that works. I want to listen to that person.
And you genuinely like music, like you're a music head.
I love music. And recently, since I was young, I've always liked to write songs and poems and stuff. And for the past months, I've been really thinking about, I think that's something that I might do when I'm bored in my
like behind
hobbies.
the scenes writing, or like actually be an artist? And like,
No, just behind the scenes. And I would go to the studio and I would just like do that as a hobby. And I like to get involved, not because I want to do that as my career, because I already have one. But I think that it's very important to, when you have a client, not only to connect with them as in like, you're my client, let me do a press kit on you, let me do a press tour. No, you need to connect with them in a little bit more of an intimate way where you understand how they work creatively.
Got you.
You need to go with them to the studio, and you need to see the way that they move. You need to understand why they want to put that message out there. So you get to have the perfect sauce for for people to consume.
What do you think needs to change about the Latin market, like as far as the music? Because, everyone seems like, I mean, obviously, like people do trap, people do reggaeton, but it kind of sounds, I would like to see more experimentation, like try different things.
I would like to see a little bit of everything, it's too much of the same.
That's what I'm saying.
It's too much of, it's great, but there's only certain artists that know how to like come out of that box and do different things. Like my clients, I pick them because they're all different. They're out of the box. They all have different, you know, like their sounds are different. And they get to be commercial as if they know how to be traditional, if they want to do trap, if they want to do a drill. Like, they get to do all of that. But I think that what we need to keep doing is just like matching up different markets.
Okay.
You know, and other sounds and more American
blending
sounds.
Cultures.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite records that came out recently, which is dope to me, and I don't know if it's doing well, but it was the Daddy Yankee and Mark Anthony. He went back and did some salsa shit. Like, I think that would be cool to see, like, some young kids like bring back salsa, but make it sound new with the production and the sounds. And
I think that it's not happening right now because I think it's probably too risky. It's too risky because remember that the people that you're mentioning
are already older.
They've been in the industry for so long. They have their respect and they know that the things that they do and they market, it's going to be safer. You know? For new artists, it's going to be too risky.
Okay, so let's hypothetically, as an example, let's just say Rauw Alejandro gets with a producer who makes like a salsa beat, and it kind of sounds.
To listen to Rauw with maybe like Romeo.
Exactly. On a bachata, that would be crazy.
Could you imagine that?
That would be nuts because he could really sing.
What?
Yes. But I'm saying, when you say it's risky, does that mean like, say Rauw puts out a salsa record that sounds new? Risky meaning like if it doesn't work, his career's over? Because you could just try it. If it doesn't work, then
it's not your career's over. But I'm not going to mention this artist, but there's one artist that he's popping. He's really popping right now. And he did that last year.
Did what?
He did that.
A salsa song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was like a salsa type of bachata, and he's big. And he did it, and it was not good. It was just like, oh, blah.
Yeah.
And it was a huge artist. So you would think that, oh my God, it's going to blow up because it's huge. It's two huge names.
But not everything is going to hit. Everything you put out is not going to hit.
No, obviously. But when you put yourself out there with something like that, you better do it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to lose your respect in the industry, but it's going to look like, so you just did music to do music? You need to study it well before you put it out there. Obviously, not everything is going to be a total hit.
Right.
Even if you're the biggest artist in the world.
Right.
But you need to think wisely because it's your reputation.
Exactly.
It's the producer's reputation. So you're putting the song out there just because you want to put a song out there and you want to prove to people that you can do this. And at the end of the day, and if it comes out bad, it's going to be like, why did you do this? You should just stick to your thing.
Yeah.
You
but
know?
then on the flip side, if you're too safe and you're just doing the same shit you already know how to do.
Yeah, but this song I'm talking about is really bad. It was so bad. It was bad.
Damn, when we gotta get off the air, we have to you gotta tell me that shit.
It was bad. It was bad. Yeah.
Damn, okay. I got Andrea de Castro here. Tell the people your social media so they can follow you.
So my social media is at De Castro Font and at De Castro Media. That's my business.
Okay, dope. So what are some new things you're trying to get into? Any new artists that you would like to work with? That
I am looking
the styling, everything. It's kind of do a little bit of everything.
I am looking to get more producers and more writers to just jump on my team and just like start creating more music. I want to start putting more music out there.
That's dope.
That's something that I've always been interested in. Like a couple years ago, I started doing this, and I put songs out there I would just like put producers and artists together, and you know, when we put songs out there, and that's something that I want to keep doing.
All right, cool. Andrea, I appreciate you pulling up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
There it is, guys. Make sure you follow her. Bomb.